Hello Kotlin learners, today we are delving into the fundamental concepts of declaring and invoking functions in Kotlin. Functions allow us to encapsulate and reuse code, promoting modularity and readability. Let's explore the syntax and usage of functions in Kotlin. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new project for this. I'm just going to go new, go to project. I'm going to say functions and lambda. So functions in Kotlin are declared using the fun keyword. They can have parameters, a return type, and can be evoked to execute a set of instructions. Let's see how we declare and invoke functions in Kotlin. Just going to remove the by default code over here. Now, let's go to src main Kotlin. Over here, create a package. Name it as declaring and invoking fun. Under this, let's create a so let's do it in main only. No issues. So what I'm gonna do is over here, I'm gonna create a function. I'm gonna say fun greet name string. I'm gonna say println hello name. So this is called function declaration. This whole thing is called function declaration. You are basically stating the function, what all parameters it will have, what all functions it will have, what is the name of the function. So this comes under function declaration. Okay, now let's invoke the function. So how to invoke the function? I'm going to say greet name of the function, then pass the parameter, suppose Kotlin learners. Okay, so this is how we invoke the function. So this is invoking, this is declaring a function. Okay, let's run the code and let's see what happens. So in this example, we declare a simple function greet that takes a name parameter. The main function showcases invoking this function with the argument Kotlin learners. Here we go. Great. Now let's go with some another example in which we will have a return type this time. Okay. So what I'm gonna do, let's remove this code. Over here I'm gonna say fun calculate sum. Suppose I'm gonna calculate a sum. A is an integer and I'm gonna pass b, which is also an integer, and the return type would be int, and I'm gonna say return a plus b. Okay, so this is the return type. This will showcase us what is the data type. Okay, and if we are doing this, then we have to include return over here. Okay, so this function will basically return a value to us. So this is basically declaring a function, and now what I'm gonna do, we are gonna invoke the function and get the results. I'm gonna say val result calculate sum, suppose 5 and 7 I'm putting, and then I'm gonna print it. Okay. So as soon as we call this function, we have to pass two parameters, that is the a and the b, and it will return an integer which we are gonna assign it to the result, and we are gonna print that result. Here we declare a function calculate sum that takes two parameters and returns their sum. The main function invokes this function and captures the result printing the sum. Great, sum is true. Now let's take one more example in which a default parameter values we are going to take. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to remove these things. Then so let's create a function with default parameter value. I'm going to say suppose fun greet person. I'm going to pass a name with a string. Again, one more parameter greeting is equals to, this time I'm going to pass a value to it. Okay, so if you see, there are two parameters. The first parameter is called name and the second is greeting, but in the second one I have passed a by default value to it. Okay, and then what I'm going to do, I'm going to go with a println statement. I'm going to say greeting comma name. Done. Just call this function, let's invoke this function. I'm just gonna say greet person, pass the parameter Alice, and then let's create a custom greeting. So what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna say greet person, this time suppose Bob comma hi. So what's happening over here? So there are two options for me, either I could pass a parameter or either I don't pass a second parameter. Okay, because by default I have already provided one, so the compiler recognizes this and do not show error in the first function. Okay, in this function it will not show error because compiler knows that we have a by default value over here. If not provided, it's gonna take this. If provided, as in the case of this, sort of like this. Let's see what's the output. In this example, the greet person function has a default parameter value for greeting. The main function showcases invoking this function with and without providing the optional parameter. Great. Now let's take one more example in which we are gonna go with function expression, a single expression function we are gonna go with. So how to do it? Let's remove this thing. I'm gonna say fun. I'm gonna suppose do a multiplication, multiply, I'm gonna take x and y, and then I'm gonna return a value. I'm gonna say int is equals to x into y. Okay, so this is a single expression function in which these are the two parameters that have been passed and this is the return value. Okay, so instead of so the alternative of this was I would have done sort of like this, so return x into y, but instead of that what I have done is just a normal function, a single line function. Okay, now let's invoke this. I'm going to say val result multiply 4 and 6, suppose normal value you want to take, and then I'm going to say println product result. Here we declare a function multiply using a single expression, eliminating the need of explicit return. The main function invokes this function and prints the product. Great, we got the output. And that concludes our exploration of declaring and invoking function in Kotlin. Functions are the building blocks of your Kotlin programs, allowing you to encapsulate logic and promote code reuse. Now go ahead Experiment with declaring and invoking functions in your Kotlin projects and witness the power of modular and readable code. Happy coding. Meet you in the next lecture. Thank you.